Jesus honored the Sabbath, even in death, resting in the tomb. The cross had silenced his voice. The sky turned black, the earth quaked, the veil tore, the crowd scattered. The Son of God had died, and what did he do next? He rested. Not on just any day, but on the Sabbath. Let that sink in. The Savior of the world, after bearing the crushing weight of humanity's sin, chose to rest in the tomb on the seventh day, not to fulfill Jewish tradition, not to honor the customs of Moses, but to honor the command of his Father, the very command he had written with his own divine finger in stone: remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Exodus 20:8. Skeptics, pastors, priests, imams, hear this and tremble. Even in death, the Son of God did not break the Sabbath. He fulfilled it with his body, lying in perfect stillness as creation's clock struck the seventh day. Luke 23:54-56 records it plainly. And that day was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on, and they returned, and prepared spices and ointments, and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment. According to the commandment. The very women who loved Jesus most, who were eager to honor his body, paused their service to keep the Sabbath holy. Why? Because even in their grief, they knew that God's command had not changed. Jesus didn't rise on the Sabbath, he rose after it, early the first day of the week, not to make Sunday holy, but because his work was finished, just like the Father's work in creation had been finished 6,000 years before. Genesis 2:2 tells us, and on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested. At creation, God rested on the Sabbath. At redemption, Jesus rested on the Sabbath. So how dare we say the Sabbath no longer matters? You say, the Sabbath was for Jews. Then why did the Gentiles in Acts 13:42 beg to hear the word again on the next Sabbath? You say, Jesus is my rest. Yes, but he is also your example, and he rested on the Sabbath. Shouldn't you? You say, the resurrection changed the day. Where? Chapter and verse, please. Not once did Jesus declare Sunday holy. Not once did the apostles say the seventh day was abolished. Not once did Paul, Peter, or John proclaim a new day of worship. But again and again, they honored the Sabbath. The greatest insult to Christ's death is to throw away the day he chose to rest in victory. You worship on Sunday in celebration of the resurrection? Fine. But God never told you to do that. Jesus never told you to do that. The apostles never told you to do that. But God did tell you to remember the Sabbath. Jesus did honor the Sabbath. And even in the grave, his body preached a sermon of silence, proclaiming, "This is still my holy day." How dare you replace it? How dare you call yourself a follower of Christ and trample on the very day he sanctified at creation, honored in life, and rested upon in death? So I ask you, pastor, priest, imam, skeptic, non-believer, if Jesus rested on the Sabbath even in death, who gave you permission to ignore it in life?